This is some flight bow fun. I've got the original Mark 1. This is bamboo backed yew, and I don't know if you can see, this limb's got more reflex than that one. I think actually that was the upper limb. What happened is, as I was tillering it, I scraped through some of the heat treating, and I think that's why this one's eased off a bit. It will still pull 50 pounds, it still works, but I'm just not convinced it's quite what it should be. So I made the Mark 2 using the Mark 1 for dimensions, and then I glued it up with slightly less reflex, because the Mark 1 was aimed at 26-inch draw. This one's going to be 27, maybe 28. But by taking the dimensions from the Mark 1, I could heat treat the belly accurately, then glue it up, and I haven't had to remove wood off the belly, so the heat treating is still good. I've also made it slightly slimmer here, so the centre section is working slightly. I don't know if you can see the difference, a little bit thinner, and it just lets the whole thing work together a little bit more. It's relatively stiff. While I was gluing this up and doing the prep and all the rest of it, and other people were working in the garage, I made a quick hickory one, which very nearly worked very nicely. I finally got it to the point where I thought I'd try it at a full 27-inch draw. I got it to nearly full draw. I was just pulling the last inch and kablooey. I don't know whether, I think the shock of that going made the arrow loose, or I loosed as it blew. I expected to find the arrow on the floor, but in fact the arrow was embedded 7/8 of the way through the garage door, which is strange because you'd think the energy all dissipated in breaking the bow. Well, you can see it's still pretty tough. Tough but non-functional. Well, it would actually throw an arrow still. I was going to saw it in half and chuck it in my useful bag of scraps, but I thought no, what I might do is save this as a template for another one, but just have a slightly longer working limb, because it felt quite lively. Anyway, let's pull this. We're looking for 50 pound at about 28. There's 50, pretty much it. Give it a little bit of exercise. I expect that's good. The interesting thing is, because I made it very much to the Mark 1, it's virtually required no tillering at all. Just a tiny bit of narrowing at the tips. I'd left them wide so I could adjust the string line if necessary. I've also had to check thickness against width to make sure I don't break the 5:8 ratio, which is what they use to define a longbow. The limbs mustn't be wider than the thickness by ratio of more than 8:5. So I built it slightly wide and then just gradually whittled width off with a plane and the belt sander. Anyhow, in fact you can probably see it's got numbers all written down. I'll come up close. I've measured it every 3 inches so I can check the width to thickness ratio. But unless you're a flight archery nut, you're probably bored by now. I'm going to go and have a nice cup of tea.